Hi, welcome to December 3rd. I want to thank you for stopping by Hope in History. We're going to look today at something that happened on this day in 1989. Now, for those of you who are old enough, you'll remember the Cold War. Now, the Cold War, for those of you who don't remember, it was a tense, decades-long conflict between the United States and the Soviet Union. It was marked by ideological differences, an arms race, proxy wars, and many other things where the USSR and the USA were just not being nice to each other. By the late 1980s, though, change was on the horizon. Soviet leader Mikhail Gorbachev had introduced a number of reforms, such as glasnost, which meant openness, and perestroika, which meant restructuring. This signaled a shift in Soviet policy towards more transparency and economic reform. On this day in 1989, during the Malta summit, U.S. President George H.W. Bush and Soviet leader Mikhail Gorbachev met aboard ships in the Mediterranean Sea, and their discussions led to a joint declaration that the Cold War was over. Mikhail Gorbachev stated that the world is leaving one epoch and entering another, while Bush remarked, "We can realize a lasting peace and transform the East-West relationship to one of enduring cooperation." This summit was historic because it symbolized the thawing of relationships between two superpowers that had long been locked in ideological opposition. It paved the way for the dissolution of the Soviet Union in 1991 and a new era of global diplomacy and cooperation. The end of the Cold War also brought relief to countless people who had lived under the shadow of nuclear war. From a spiritual perspective, this moment reflects the power of reconciliation and the courage that it takes to pursue peace over division. Proverbs 16 verse 7 reminds us, "When a man's ways please the Lord, he maketh even his enemies to be at peace with him." Now, the willingness of these leaders to meet and talk, rather than to escalate tensions, is a powerful example of how humility and a spirit of cooperation can overcome hostility. This event challenges us to examine our own lives. Are there cold wars that we're engaged in? Are there conflicts or estrangements that linger unresolved? Are we missing out on friendships or close family relationships? It takes real courage to resolve conflict, but the result is well worth the effort. Just as these two world leaders were able to work through years of hostility, we too can seek reconciliation through prayer, humility, and reliance on God's wisdom, coupled with a determination to make a difference. Today's your day to be a peacemaker in your own sphere of influence, whether it's extending forgiveness, seeking understanding, or choosing love over conflict. You can reflect God's nature and bring His peace into your world. If this task seems impossible, remember the words of Paul in Philippians 4:13 when he said, "I can do all things through Christ, which strengtheneth me." Thanks again for stopping by today. I hope this episode has been a blessing to you, and I hope it gives you an opportunity to make peace in your life. Before you go, please hit the like and subscribe buttons so that you can keep up with our daily episodes. And remember that no matter what December 3rd brings for you today, that it is a great day to live for God.